Hey, Doodah Dave, coming at you, doing some Beatles. Today, I thought we would do in celebration of Vinyl Night coming up on March 26th, 6 to 8 p.m. We'll see you there at Dylan and Sherry's. Should be great, spinning the music of the Beatles, the later years. And we're going to have light snacks and some light beverages, and should be a real good time. I'll have my setup, my analog setup, and bring some Beatles records. So all analog all the time. So today I wanted to do some solo Beatles stuff starting in 1971. So let's, as they say, get right into it. First up, the first McCartney album. I was listening to this last night, and it gets a lot of unlove. There's Paul in the back, shot by Linda, and of course it had the big single on it. Maybe I'm amazed, but he played all the instruments on this, okay, and basically did this in a 4-track in his home, okay, with two kids and a wife, and having just broken up the Beatles. He didn't break up the Beatles, but the Beatles haven't been broken up. This is the inside, all photographs by Linda, of course, who was an accomplished photographer. You know, when I heard her name was Eastman, Linda Eastman, I said, oh, she's Eastman Kodak. Well, she's not Eastman Kodak, and there's Paul with his baby. It wasn't Eastman Kodak, but the Eastmans were, they were wealthy family lawyers. And do you know a trivia? What is the connection between the Beatles and Scarsdale? Both Linda Eastman and Yoko Ono were lived in Scarsdale. From Scarsdale, lived in Scarsdale, grew up in Scarsdale, New York. So there you go. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, it's got some nice tunes on it. That Would Be Something. I like that song a lot. Of course, I mentioned Maybe I'm Amazed, and there's another good one on here. Every Night. So those are kind of catchy. I mean, they're not quite singles, but a neat album. Paul's first one, and there would be more to come, and you'll see we'll have more to come. Okay, George was busy. He got a call from Ravi Shankar, and George was credited with doing the first benefit album and movie called The Concert for Bangladesh, and invited a few of his friends, Eric Clapton, Leon Russell, Bob Dylan, who he didn't know if he was going to come until the last minute. And he put out a 3-album set. Now mine, as you can see, is a little worn for wear, but I do have the booklet. All the booklet. I think I've shown this before, but I love it. There's George in his white suit, and it was at the Garden, and they raised $250,000, which in 1971 dollars, August 1st, 1971, that was pretty good money. There's the band members, and he had Ringo. Also, did I mention Ringo? Leon, Billy Preston. Leon gets a nice turn with Jumpin' Jack Flash into Youngblood. Here's Wah Wah, of course, that was from the All Things Must Pass album, which I don't have on vinyl. I do have, you'll see over my shoulder, there's a copy of it. There it is, over my left shoulder on CD, purple CD, which is pretty cool. There's George at the Garden doing Wah Wah about the breakup of the Beatles. And I'll show you one more. Oh, there's a picture, and Phil Spector was on the board for this. Phil Spector seemed to do everything. Phil Spector was on this. Phil Spector was on Let It Be. Phil Spector was on Imagine, that we'll see in a little while. He was a very, very busy guy with these guys, and just great people. He had Badfinger, Klaus Bormann, who also worked with John, and Jesse Ed Davis, terrific slide player. Jim Horn, Jim Keltner on drums, Claudio Lanier, who sang backup with Joe Cocker, and so many, just all-star. Great labels, Concert for Bangladesh, just like the cover, and it's really, really good. Wah Wah, Waiting on You All, Here Comes the Sun, Something, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Of course, Clapton does that. And yeah, Concert for Bangladesh 3 record. Moving right along, did I mention Imagine? Now, I think for my money, and maybe I don't know the other Lennon solo albums, but I think this is the best one, like by far. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I think. Not because of the song Imagine, which I love, and my wife loves. Big shout out to Sandy. She loves Imagine. Here's really cool labels. It was on Apple, but the flip side, instead of the apple, had John's face, which is pretty cool. But Crippled Inside, Jealous Guy was on. Give Me Some Truth. How Do You Sleep, which was kind of a very penned. It was a barb directed at Paul. How Do You Sleep? You know, Sergeant Pepper's and You're All Pretty and all that stuff. Jealous Guy I mentioned. Terrific song, great cover. I'm going to do a piece about covers. There's a terrific Roxy Music cover of Jealous Guy. Just Brian Ferry rips it up. It's fantastic. Crippled Inside, which, you know, they all were after the breakup of the Beatles. So this is interesting. All these albums came out in 71. I think, including McCartney. Did McCartney come out in 70? I have to check that. But and this was a big thing. A lot of these albums came with posters. So this was the poster that came with the Imagine album. I'm lucky to have it. Is it upside down? Yes, it is. It's John at the white piano. Now that white piano was used on the Get Back, Let It Be sessions, I believe. Maybe even the White Album sessions. But I saw it in Abbey Road. And I just want to mention the people on this. Jim Keltner does an excellent job drumming. King Curtis, of course, played with the great soul sax player who was killed in New York shortly hereafter. Jim Gordon from the Dominoes and Delaney and Bonnie. Klaus Voormann is always with these guys. He plays with John. He plays with George. He was on the Bangladesh also. And Nicky Hopkins, who played with so many people, Jerry Garcia, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, Badfinger guys are on this too. Alan White, who went on to drum for Yes. Just great, great all-star. Wonderful album. Imagine. Now I wanted to show this. This came out in 73. This was the soundtrack to the James Bond movie Live and Let Die. Paul and Wings, of course, did the Live and Let Die. There's stills from it. There's Roger Moore. And there's the back. Great artwork on the front. And George Martin did a lot of the score on this. So just kind of cool for that. Moving right along, we have some more posters. And this is a poster of, I think this is from Venus and Mars. So I'm going out of order here, but I'll show it to you since it's in my stack. That's them in Northern California, the band, which at Venus and Mars and the time of, we'll see Live Over America, Wings Over America, was Denny Lane, of course, who left the Moody Blues. Oh, you know who's on the Dylan album too? Mike Pinder from the Moody Blues. I thought that was really random. That was pretty cool. And Venus and Mars, yeah. Jimmy McCullough and who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Well, we'll get to him. Joe English, the drummer. And I remember hearing about Wings Over America and how one of them, he hurt his finger and he had to be pulled off, and then he broke his finger. I think that was Joe English. No, that was Jimmy McCullough, because he's a guitar player. Okay, so I'm moving right along, talking about Wings. So this is Wings' Greatest. This is the cover. There's Linda and Paul and Denny. It's got a bunch of songs. Another Day, which I love. I've done this album before, is only on this. And I believe Junior's Farm is only on this. You got Another Day. There's no skips on this one. This is a perfect album. Another Day, Silly Love Songs. I mean, if you like Wings and you like Paul, which I do, and it's the best of the best. Junior's Farm with a Little Luck. Band on the Run, of course, from the Band on the Run, big 73 album for them, probably their biggest uncle. Albert Admiral Halsey starts the second side. Hi, hi, hi. Let 'Em In, My Love, Jet, and Mull of Kintyre, which Denny Lane wrote. And more pictures of the band, and just great stuff. Wings greatest. And there is the also on, this was on Capitol now, so we're into, this came out 70, we're 74 with Wings greatest, because it was right before Venus and Mars. So he'd switched from, and he put out MPL, which I think was one of McCartney's businesses. All right, Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars, which I think I have above me over my right shoulder. Gotta remember what I put behind me. I throw stuff up there to try to make it purty. So this is Venus and Mars. Great album. This is what kicked off the Wings Across America tour that Wings did with the aforementioned English McCullough Lane, McCartney, and broke all the records, really started arena rock in the summer of 76. This came out in 75. Great album. Linda again doing the cover. Terrific songs on here. Rock Show, of course. Venus and Mars into Rock Show. The Medicine Jar, which they did live. Magneto and Titanium Man, which always makes me think of, Marvel. And I'll Listen to What the Man Said was a big... And the writing on here is very, very good. The playing, very, very good. Really, Wings by this point had really gelled as a band. They weren't a hit machine. This was almost, I don't know, concept album is used a lot, but this kicked off the tour. So we'll go into tour, and there were a lot of extras. I showed you one of them, the inside graphic. Hypnosis helped with this. That did so many of the covers for Zeppelin and Floyd. Remember, this was mid 70s, now 75. So, that's what they were all into, and cool labels. Again on Capitol, like Wings. So Paul had gravitated from Apple. I guess he'd taken his money out of that, and he was back to Capitol that originally put out the Beatles albums. So they didn't go far. EMI, Capitol, Apple, kind of all in the same family, right? Wings Over America, a mammoth, another triple album. George had a triple album, they had a triple album. And look, the Beatles Solo, they could get away with it. Interesting, the Beatles, I don't think they ever put out a triple album. No, they never put out a triple album by themselves, but these guys did. Just great with the Airplane. You had the Stones with their Airplane. You had Leonard Skinner with their Airplane. You had Led Zeppelin with their Airplane. So Paul had to have an airplane. And here's a really good picture of the band. There is Linda over there, and that's Paul. They're kind of highlighted, like juiced up. It's a cross between a painting and a photograph. And Denny and Jimmy McLean and Joe English on the drums. I think, Jimmy would be on the far end, and Denny would have the double neck, I believe. You guys could correct me if that's wrong. Wings Over America, terrific album, really cool inners on that, and from the aircraft, and more posters. There were 2 posters. This was Wings Over America. Yeah, Wings. There we go. Wings Over America. All 5 of them. And then on the flip side, some shots from in concert. So lots of cool stuff. Really happy and lucky to have all these to put in my vinyl. And the Wings Over America label was on, I bet, Capitol again. Capitol and MPL. Really cool labels. Almost Pink Floyd worthy, right? And look, they've got some real estate there, a map, and then I guess stuff from the plane. I don't know what that graphic is. Those are the cool graphics on the records. All right, and last but not least, we have yeah, they were all different colors, orange and blue for the Wings Over America. A very sentimental album, I guess, being the last studio album that he would put out. And I think next to Imagine, his second greatest work, Double Fantasy, despite there being some stuff on here that I'm not as crazy about. Watching the Wheels, Woman, great song. Oh, wonderful song. I sang that for my wife one time for her birthday. And Beautiful Boy is on here. So for those three alone, Starting Over and Cleanup Time, and I'm Losing You. So the Lennon pieces, every Lennon song is almost a greatest hit to me. And there they are in this back of the Dakota. We're not going to talk about that, but this is his last album. Again, Spector taking over the board, I believe, on this. Was it? No, it wasn't Spector. It was, bite my tongue, produced by John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and Jack Douglas. And was recorded at the Hit Factory, I think, in New York. Yes, recorded, remixed at the Hit Factory. And you had a slew of players. Tony Levin on the bass guitar. Tony Levin of King Crimson and Peter Gabriel fame. You had Earl Slick, who you may know from the David Bowie band, on guitar. Hugh McCracken, great session guy, who I believe played on Steely Dan records. Fantastic, like almost jazz level. Andy Newmark on drums, who played with everybody. Including, I was listening to some Roxy Music, fantastic session drummer. And Robert Greenidge on steel drum on Beautiful Boy. If you don't know that name, he was in the Coral Reefers with Jimmy Buffett and did a lot of session work with James Taylor and all those folks. Howard Johnson on the horn players, who played with the band. So this is an all-star cast. 1980. Double Fantasy. And that's it. So that's the Beatles solo albums. Next video, which I hope to do by Friday, I'm going to do Beatles covers. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to do influences. So those will be videos coming up. So hope you like it and keep on spinning. Please like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bells and whistles and all that, and follow me. Trying to get my YouTube channel up where my Instagram is. And I post on both. As you know, I guess a lot of people probably see it on Instagram and then they don't bother to see it on YouTube. You don't have to see it on both. That's ridiculous. And Uda Date signing out. Remember, Vinyl Night, Thursday, March 26th, 6 to 8 p.m. Should be a really good time, featuring the Beatles, the later years. Take care. Keep spinning.